introduce and welcome our presenter for this evening. Our presenter is Ms. Marion Jones-Brooks. She is the Supervisor of Compliance here in Prince William County Schools. Marion, welcome.
Thank you for having me this evening. Good evening, everyone, and thank you again, Ms. Yannette, for the warm welcome. I'm here to present on the non-discrimination and harassment of students and partnering with families in order to provide a positive learning environment for all. Our discussion topics this evening will include a review of the definitions of discrimination and harassment. We will also provide an overview of the types of discrimination and harassment, understand when to report and who reports discrimination or harassment, and also understanding what happens after making a report. In addition, we will reflect upon the following two questions: how can parents and guardians help PWCS prevent discrimination and harassment, and how do we support students? Followed by the conclusion with resources and contact. As always, we like to share our PWCS Vision 2025 for Launching Thriving Futures and our commitments. This presentation this evening specifically aligns with commitment number 2, positive climate and culture, which is our promise to provide a welcoming and supportive and safe environment for teaching and learning, as well as an environment that can facilitate a positive academic journey for students. We will provide an environment that fosters inclusivity, connectedness, and encourages the social and emotional wellness for all, along with making sure that students and staff feel supported and have a strong sense of belonging. Ultimately, we want to make sure that all of our facilities across the division are welcoming, safe, and sustainable. For positive climate and culture, our one reflective question is, does each student experience a safe school with transparent, consistently enforced standards of behavior aligned with the Code of Behavior? And in addition, how is the classroom or school climate and a sense of belonging restored following conflict? What is discrimination? Discrimination occurs when one or more individuals are treated differently or not given fair consideration or the same opportunity as others because of their race, color, religion, national origin, sex, gender identity, sexual orientation, pregnancy, childbirth, or related medical conditions, including lactation, age, marital status, veteran status, disability, genetic information, or any other basis prohibited by law. Now we'll go over what is harassment. Harassment is a persistent pattern of unwelcome conduct that specifically targets one or more individuals based on protected class, which include the previous ones mentioned, such as race, color, religion, national origin, age, sex, marital status, veteran status, disability, genetic information, or any other characteristic protected by state or federal law. In consideration for harassment, we look at 3 different areas: demeaning and intimidating behavior, which is described as discriminatory harassment involving actions that demean, intimidate, or harm an individual or group. These behaviors create anxiety or fear for safety in an intimidating, hostile, and/or offensive environment. Such conduct can substantially or unreasonably interfere with the student's education. The next is various expressions. Discriminatory harassment can manifest in different ways, including physical actions, verbal communication, nonverbal cues, electronic messages, or written content. And lastly, targeting based on belief. Importantly, discriminatory harassment may target an individual even if they do not actually possess any characteristic that serves as the basis for such harassment. The key factor is that the harassment is based on the belief that the target possesses such characteristics. Now we'll go over types of discrimination or harassment. Title VI of the Civil Rights Act of 1964 prohibits discrimination based on race, color, or national origin in programs or activities that receive federal financial assistance. This includes Prince William County schools. The existence of a hostile environment based on race, color, or national origin that is created, encouraged, accepted, tolerated, or left uncorrected by a school division constitutes discrimination in violation of Title VI. The regulation associated is 738-3, resolution of allegations against students of discrimination or harassment. Next is Title IX. Title IX of the Education Amendments of 1972 prohibits sex-based discrimination in any school or any other education program that receives federal funding from the government. Essentially, the Title IX ensures that no person in the United States can be excluded from participation, denied benefits, or subjected to discrimination on the basis of sex under any education program or activity that receives federal financial assistance. It plays a crucial role in promoting equal opportunities and fairness across educational institutions. 738-1, resolution of allegations against students of sexual misconduct, is what you can refer to regarding Title IX. Ultimately, PWCS must respond to all allegations of discrimination and harassment. Now we'll go over the complainant and respondent and how to distinguish between the two. The complainant is the individual or group of individuals that formally raises the issue or issues and makes the complaint. The respondent is the individual or group of individuals against whom a complaint is brought. Again, we want to continue to emphasize reporting all allegations of discrimination or harassment to the Diversity, Equity, Inclusion, and Compliance Department. Whether it's a student complainant and student respondent, a student complainant and employee respondent, or an employee complainant and student respondent. All allegations are to be reported. Who and when to report discrimination and harassment. All members of the school community bear the responsibility to promptly report any suspected misconduct related to discrimination or harassment to school officials. We encourage all students, employees, parents, and community stakeholders to immediately report such incidents using the following guidelines. First, students, parents, and community stakeholders. If a student, parent, or community stakeholder becomes aware of any misconduct, they should promptly report it to the student's principal, assistant principal, or the DEIC department. The alleged misconduct should be reported as soon as possible to ensure PWCS can promptly and efficiently resolve the issue. For employees, any PWCS employee who receives a report alleging such misconduct or observes it happening to or by a student must also report it immediately. In no event should this reporting be delayed beyond 24 hours. The employee should report the incident to the principal, assistant principal, or if the employee is not school-based, to their supervisor. Employees experiencing such misconduct are also encouraged to report it to their supervisor or the DEIC department as soon as possible. How to report discrimination and harassment. Again, emphasizing that all reports should be received within 24 hours. You have the option to do so via the electronic reporting form, which is available via a QR code or the Prince William County Schools website, paper attachments to the corresponding regulation, email to the DEIC department, which will be shared toward the end of the presentation, and also calling the DEIC department, where our number will also be included on a slide toward the end of the presentation. Here is a screenshot of what the electronic reporting form looks like. The reporting form is housed in a system called Guardian, and it allows you to accurately locate the report type, the date or the approximate date of the incident. You can also include the time, either approximate if you have it, the location, the building, also even the specific location if you have that additional detail. As you work throughout the form, you also have an opportunity to share the incident details as you observe them yourself or as your child has shared them with you to give as much information to the department for consideration and review. Once you submit that report, we'll go over what happens next. The DEIC department will respond within 24 hours, excluding holidays and weekends. If an allegation meets the legal threshold, the DEIC department will assign an investigator to conduct an investigation, which will encompass a series of steps: the initial review, identifying parties and relevant witnesses, conducting investigative interviews, gathering, reviewing, and analyzing the supporting evidence and documentation, composing an investigative report, and determining responsibility. If an allegation does not meet the legal threshold, the DEIC department will return it to the school to be addressed under the Code of Behavior. All right, how can parents or guardians help? There are 3 key elements. The first is to talk to your student about discrimination and harassment. Discuss expectations for student behavior when they are in Prince William County schools, at Prince William County sponsored activities, including sporting events, and anything affiliated with our school division. Having that conversation is essential. Encouragement. Encourage your child to also report discrimination and harassment if they experience or witness it. Often this comes out in having that conversation. Even if they can't name it specifically as discrimination or harassment, you're able to talk through the incident with them and help them understand what occurred and how that experience may have impacted them. And lastly, report. Report misconduct if you witness or learn of it. Okay, next up is for us to review some supports. Supportive measures. Supportive measures are non-disciplinary, non-punitive, individualized services offered as appropriate and as reasonably available and without fee or charge to the complainant or the respondent before or after the filing of a formal complaint or where no formal complaint has been filed. Such measures are designed to restore or preserve equal access to PWCS educational programs or activities without unreasonably burdening the other party, including measures designed to protect the safety of all parties or the PWCS educational environment, or to deter further discrimination, harassment, or retaliation. Supportive measures shall also remain confidential to the extent that maintaining confidentiality does not impair the ability of PWCS to provide the supportive measures. Informal resolution. The informal resolution process is a voluntary, structured interaction between the complainant and respondent to resolve the allegations following the filing of a formal complaint and prior to a hearing, if offered, or a determination of responsibility. Informal resolutions must comply with the following parameters. An informal resolution must be completely voluntary, and both parties must consent in writing to participation in the informal resolution process. An informal resolution cannot be offered if the complainant is a student and the respondent is an employee. The informal resolution will not require the parties to confront each other or even be present in the same room. The parties may consult their parent or guardian or advocate and have them present at any time an informal resolution meeting occurs. The informal resolution process should be completed within a reasonable time frame, but not more than 10 business days absent good cause as determined by the facilitator. A signed resolution agreement is binding on both parties. An overview of the Diversity, Equity, Inclusion, and Compliance Department includes the following: efforts to offer support for educational environments that value all students and families, communicates with students and families regarding a student's right to a harassment and discrimination-free learning environment, promotes discrimination and harassment prevention programs, is a resource to parents and PWCS administrators regarding allegations of discrimination and/or harassment involving students, and manages sexual harassment complaints against students to ensure each is resolved in a timely and unbiased manner. Our resources and contact. As always, access to the Prince William County Schools Vision 2025 will allow you to review the strategic plan and the goals set therein within that document. The U.S. Department of Justice Title VI, and the U.S. Department of Education, Title IX. Both are additional resources to review. And the contact information for the compliance supervisor, myself, the number there, you can please take a note of it along with the email associated. The Title IX coordinator's number and the email address that you can reach them at is also there, along with the compliance specialist number and email as well. All right, and now is the time for some questions.
Do we have any questions from our attendees, or you're more than welcome to type them in the Q&A or even in the chat, or I'm sorry, not the chat because we don't have the chat available, but if Q&A, or you can we can get you off mute. All right. So thank you so much, Marian, for joining us this evening and talking to us about this important matter. For everyone else, I will be sending a follow-up email. In that follow-up email, you will get Ms. Jones-Brooks' PowerPoint presentation. This session was recorded, so it will be available in our past events website once it's ready for viewing. And so again, thank you so much for joining us tonight. We will be putting a survey in the chat. We would like your feedback just on this event today and then future programming that you may want to see. So if there are not any other questions, hold on one second. I think something came back. Okay. They're asking if you can go back to the slide before resources, please. So,
Yes, of course.
Mm-hmm.
I will pull that up right now.
And I will make sure to include that. It's going to be in her PowerPoint presentation, but I'll go ahead and include that as well in the email.
All right. So just before resources was this slide. I'm not sure if the individual needs to unmute so they can confirm that this is the slide they're referencing.
Okay.
If you would like to hit the raise your hand button, then that allows us to unmute you if you would like to speak.
Mm-hmm. All right, I don't see any hands raised. Is there another, maybe, so this is the one right before, and then can you go back to the resources after that? Maybe right here as well, just to ensure. All right. Well, again, thank you, everyone. Again, I'm going to send a follow-up email. You will get Ms. Jones-Brooks' PDF or PowerPoint presentation so that you have it available as the resources. And then I'll make sure to include some of the links, live links on there so that you can have access to that. Oh, the question said the one with vision and federal maybe resources. Does that make sense?
Yes, and I saw that individual replied and said thank you.
Okay, perfect. All right. Perfect. All right. Well, thank you again for joining us, and I hope everyone has a wonderful evening.